Welcome to the Subconscious Mind Mastery Podcast. Thomas Miller closing out 2025 here with an end of the year podcast. And this is, come go with me on a little exploration. I'll show you what it's like sometimes to be in my head. Something I was contemplating the other day was death. And that's pretty easy for a Scorpio to do. Some people are terrified by it. You know, now that I've had so many more people in my life pass away, getting up to that age where it happens, that death is a lot less scary. I mean, I've seen some very peaceful transitions. There was no pain, there was no angst, just slipping off. So what my mind was wandering through, it's kind of a paradox because we're going to be talking about getting out of the mind. But I was thinking about, what is that line like? What must it be like when all of a sudden there's a consciousness flip? Now, for those of you in your 20s and 30s and 40s and you're thinking, I don't even want to talk about this. Well, don't worry about it, because what I'm getting to is something that you can deploy today. What I'm advocating is that we can sort of play with, make that consciousness shift in our own current reality. So if you're a teenager and death seems like way on down the road, like I'm not, that's not even for me. Well, what I'm saying is, let's play with the consciousness shift that takes place when we become non-physical. I think back of that book from Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me. It's an old book now, it's 15 years old, but she very clearly described a dying situation. She had terminal cancer. She was clinically dead, so she separated from her body. And she could see her relatives in the hospital room. She could see that they were mourning, they were crying, and she was like, wait, don't cry. There's nothing to be sad about. She was in the bliss of the transition. As her story goes, she was presented with the choice that so many other people are presented with. My friend Dr. Slater had the same thing when he was swinging from the power lines, when he was a teenager in college. You can go back, but here's what it's going to be like. She was given the you can go back, and she chose that option. Boy, I mean, and describing this whole thing of being in the non-human physical unconscious realm and then coming back to the conscious realm. But that's what I'm advocating that we can do every day. So if you think about that, the real essence of you is obviously this eternal, non-physical consciousness, right? I think everybody pretty much agrees one way or another on that. Even in the church, body, soul, and spirit, right? And what are we talking about? Which of the three? Well, we're talking about, and this gets a matter of semantics, but we're talking about the non-physical part, the soul or spirit. Some think those are just one, but that's something we'll probably never fully distinguish on this side. We're talking about the non-physical. But boy, I mean, from the time we are born and welcome into the world, slap, pow, what has just happened? Our conscious mind has been activated, and it retains the driver's side of the vehicle until we pass, until we escape that mental constraint. And yet, the whole realm of spirituality, including religion, is reconnecting to that invisible consciousness. What else do we know about the other side? Well, Lives of the Soul, the book that changed my life, probably along at least equal to levels of energy from Fred. Lives of the Soul, where we transition into, first of all, a lightness compared to Earth. That's for most. Some probably go to a heavier realm, but that's because of how they've been living their lives. But saying that you're on your highest timeline, you're going to raise to a higher vibration. And then it becomes the resting and the refreshing and the readjusting. And then it's school, it's learning, it's connecting with soul pods, and all of that happens on the other side. So when somebody says they're too busy on the other side, there can be contact, but typically it's from a context of, we've got stuff going on over here now, and why would you want to be attached to this if all of a sudden your energy level was so much higher? And yet, I do think that there is a connection. I've experienced it myself. One time that I experienced it, and I've documented it in this podcast, it was right before COVID, and my whole family showed up in my connection, this non-physical, this bridge gap that I'm talking about here, my family actually showed up one time. It was beautiful. But obviously that's not the norm. But if we could hone our skills and develop a practice where we are able to lower our conscious thought just enough that we could somehow slide into the realm of that unconscious connection, what would that be like? And even more important, how would we do it? Well, there are 3 parts of us that are involved in this activation, if we could so achieve. One would be our mind, and it would be reducing that. The next would be our physical heart. This is the whole coherence idea. It's tuning our physical heart into that space, into that realm. The heart math people came along and did a phenomenal job of showing us, educating us that our heart is what is responsible for that connection. Proverbs 4:23 from the Old Testament, "For above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." It is an emotional center of your being. Ask anybody who's had a probe go up in their heart or has had their heart opened up, knows. Me being one of those. Then the other, I said 3 areas of our composition. The other one I think would be our chakra line. So obviously from our root to the top of our head, along that line, and the points that are illustrated by the chakras are the other connection points where we would tune in to that otherworldliness. And this is where I think that having the mind control to get to the point where we can be able to say, "Monkey mind, stand down," and it gives the space over to these other areas, to our heart, to our crown chakra, etc., to tune in. And it can happen almost instantly. And another way, and this came to me the other day in conversation with somebody talking about the parallel universes of self concept, and I thought of that video that young lady in New Zealand did that went viral of talking about the pure technique. And I have the audio from that. It has the music in it. This is what aired on TikTok that, I don't know, the thing got over 1.5 million views. It was a description of Fred's chapter 6 of Parallel Universes of Self, of the pure technique, where we envision us in a different reality and then simply blend in with it, which is a mental exercise. This is like 4 minutes. Have a listen. This is the audio from the TikTok video. It is the technique which will allow you to shift into what are actual parallel realities. Step 1. Define a reality you'd like to experience. At this point, the desire may be vague or specific. Step 2. Sit or lie down. Close your eyes and become very silent and relaxed. Gently and gradually allow any wants, needs, have-tos, shoulds, coulds, and woulds to fade away and breathe gently. You stop doing anything except observing and noticing. Relax into 0 point. 0 point means that you are in neutral observer mode, neither desiring nor resisting. Don't advance to the next step before you feel completely at ease. Step 3. Allow an image to appear that represents the version of yourself who is already experiencing the desired reality. This is not so much a visualization in the sense of creating something with effort or concentration. It is more a relaxed receiving of something that is already available or nearby. You are not merely imagining something or opening to possibility, but perceiving a version of yourself that already and really exists in a parallel reality. Step 4. Rather than continuing to look at that version of yourself as an observer, as someone desiring it, enter the viewpoint or the energy field of this person who is already experiencing complete fulfillment of that reality. Immerse yourself in that reality. Experience the image not as a mental event, but along with a complete body sense of touch, tactile sense, and emotion. Do it in order to experience the joy of it, right here and right now. Step 5. Rest in fulfillment. This means that you don't try to make it happen, because you've already claimed it as real. You don't hope for it to come in some future. Because you've claimed it as already real, you don't ask when, how, or where it will show up. Instead, you simply do what offers itself to you throughout the day. Once in a while, you may want to re-feel the body sense of the chosen reality and enjoy what you have claimed as true. But often, not even that is necessary. You needn't be acting as if the desired reality is manifest, for that still implies separation. Simply cease to behave in a way that presupposes that it is not already so. The corresponding physical manifestation will appear when you stop needing it. And like TikTok does, it stops. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is where you blend in with a reality that is outside of your physical constraints. Here is a reality that you are tuning into that might be in another physical universe, parallel universes. Why couldn't they exist? That's the whole premise of that book. And people are really discovering it now. That book still sells like hotcakes on sale. It really does. It's amazing how it's held time so well. And the problem is that in our daily lives, in our world, we are engaged with the mind all day long. We're stimulated by the mind. What controls our mind probably more than anything is that little device in your hand or your pocket that you are probably listening to this through. And it has control of your mind from what? The time you wake up, you do what? Check your phone. What's the last thing we do before we go to bed? Check our phone. So no wonder we don't have control of our mind to be able to do this. What a freedom and a blessing it would be if we could enter a state, and obviously you can't do this in a crowded mall or a theater or when there's a lot of stimulation going on, you're at a party, whatever, restaurant. That's not when you do this, but if you could carve yourself out some of that special quiet time during the day, and even if you had a place where you could go to do this, if you're working, maybe you go out to your car if the weather's suitable to be able to do that. You could do it out there, but you retreat enough where you get the quiet around you, and then you have the mental discipline to do something like that pure technique where you could send yourself off into that non-physical realm, wherever your soul wants to go with it, for a period of time, and connect with that. Here's where it really got alive for me as I was thinking about prayer. And in the religious context of prayer, there's nothing funnier now than listening to pastors pray, because they will almost preach their message again in their prayer. It really is funny when they start repeating their points of the sermon back to God. It's like, here's the bottom line. If you didn't know, headline, news, update, God doesn't need your review of the 3 points. God doesn't need your please, and that's P-L-E-A and P-L-E-A-S-E, please. Plea and please. That's not how we get there. And what's happening is we're praying through our Mercury mind. In astrology, the planet Mercury represents our mind, our thinking mind. And just 2 steps over from that is our ego, because God forbid, literally, if there's a microphone in the room and that pastor gets a hold of that microphone, then it becomes a pure ego-driven moment of prayer. Well, then it becomes how many amens can you get, and the whole thing just starts vortex spiraling down. Prayer, true connection with God, is connecting that radiance of our heart. It's connecting energy by reducing our mind, not increasing it, and by feeling into the vibration of a different reality. And if you have not picked up Parallel Universes of Self, it's a long book, but you can do it in chunks just like that. There's stories all through, techniques all through, and concepts all through. So I would highly encourage you to do it, and I'd appreciate it if you do it with audio. Or if you haven't listened to it for a while, put an old friend back on while you're driving around. Give it a listen again. I think you'll be blessed. So to boil all this down, we came from an infinite reality. We will go back to that infinite reality. For a few decades, we are here in this in-between reality of the physical human flesh. And in some kind of paradoxical way, it takes us over. And we become consumed by that Mercury monkey mind. The exercise, if you're catching this in real time during the holidays, if not just any time, is to relax that Mercury monkey mind. And the cool thing about the audio that we listened to is that technique gives you an extension of the mind. Because if your mind can think about a parallel reality and a different kind of like, wow, this is something that I can go to and experience, then you send the monkey mind over there. And that opens up the soul then to be able to connect through your heart with that infinite reality that is you, the essence of the true you. That essence that will be right there that you will flash back into when, as somebody recently described, it comes your time to go to the cloud, which is nothing to fear because that is truly who we are. So don't make requests. Tune in. All you have to do is tune into a reality. Don't ask for the reality. We get so messed up with that, don't we? We think that we can create it with our mind. We are totally looking in the wrong place. And we don't just still the mind. It's a package, like I said. It's the heart, it's the chakras, it's tuning ourselves, conditioning our body to be able to activate that connection with that non-physical realm. And in so many ways, we give up that process. We surrender it to others. We surrender it to substances. We surrender it to situations. We become consumed by something that we can't control. We surrender it to fear. I mean, look around. People who cannot control their mind find other things that can, usually some form of escapism or surrendered control. Escape that trap. That's my message. Get out of that trap. Boy, is it something powerful to practice. Again, if you're listening real time, I wish you the best holiday season. If you're listening in 2026, you already know how it's unfolding. And if you're listening in 2028, you have the record of history to know what we are getting ready to go through. Thank you so much for your time here. I do hope this helps, and I hope you'll play with it. And here is to your journeys. May you enjoy them. Thanks for listening. I'm Thomas Miller. We'll see you next time.